The Mask Slips Video Analysis Part 1. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. I know you always find it very helpful when I analyse video footage of an individual to further explain to you various aspects of the narcissist in action and also to enable you to understand why a person is behaving the way that they are. There are plenty of video analyses throughout my work, some about Harry's wife, some you'll find, for instance, in relation to Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito. That's particularly instructive, and I'd encourage you to search them out. If you look for video analysis, it ought to bring up many of them for you. Here is another analysis of Harry's wife, and this relates to an interview that took place a number of years ago where a lady from Black Hollywood Live is interviewing Sarah Rafferty and Harry's wife, both of whom are undertaking Suits' winter press tour. It gives you an opportunity to observe Harry's wife as she interacts with two individuals. Sarah Rafferty is a non-intimate secondary source in her fuel matrix. The lady that's undertaking the interview, I assume she's not known to Harry's wife, and therefore she would be a non-intimate tertiary source. Throughout the course of this, she will receive fuel from the responses of the other two individuals, but also potentially face threats to her control. And I'm going to break down what goes on piece by piece so you can understand more about narcissism and more about Harry's wife. Let's bring on the first clip.
Hey guys, Tiana Hobson here with Meghan Markle and Sarah Rafferty from Suits. I love Suits. I'm a huge Donna and Rachel fan.
Thank you.
I want to talk to you guys about the fashion because you guys always look so sharp in every episode of Suits. What's it like getting to play dress up in this closet?
Oh, we are just the luckiest. It's like a Cinderella moment all the time because the designers we wear are amazing. Tom Ford skirts and gorgeous shoes, and I mean, truly, what paralegal would ever have a wardrobe like this? I don't know, but I'm lucky that I get to play Rachel and do it.
No, I mean, I do often think about, Harvey must really, really adequately compensate Donna for her efforts because she's just waltzing into the firm in Valentino and Roland Mouret and Victoria Beckham.
On a Tuesday.
You know, yeah, and with bags and all that kind of stuff. But I would say, it's actually kind of wrecked me.
Okay. What we see there is immediately Harry's wife dives in and provides her answer, treating us to her asinine observations about playing dress-up. Hardly interesting, but there we are. Notice that, as always, her hands are moving. She's not quite at pissed-up ninja status in this particular clip. Perhaps she's coming across more as a relaxed Italian. But those hands, inevitably, are moving around, which is quite the distraction when she's often speaking, and it is demonstrative of the way that she's trying to draw attention onto herself, both in terms of what she's saying, but by waving her flappers around. You'll notice as well that as Sarah Rafferty is talking, Harry's wife gives a hollow laugh to the observation that Miss Rafferty has made, and then you can see the smile dissipate from her face very quickly. It just melts away, underpinning the fact that it's not natural, that it's put there by the narcissism as an appropriate response in the circumstances. You can then see that she's itching to intervene because the attention of the interviewer is being placed on Sarah Rafferty, which means this is a problem for Harry's wife because she needs to be the centre of attention. Accordingly, in order to bring attention back on herself, she interjects while Sarah Rafferty is speaking by adding, "on a Tuesday." She then looks immediately to the interviewer to see if she's gaining a response. Remember, she's not thinking to herself, I will look at the interviewer and see if I now get a response. It's purely instinctive. But the interviewer is looking at Sarah Rafferty. Harry's wife does not get the response from the interviewer that she requires. This then generates anxiety. She's being starved of fuel. She's being, in effect, wounded, albeit momentarily. And this generates anxiety in Harry's wife, resulting in the rapid blinking which she engages in and that we've seen before and that I've explained in a separate video. She then shifts to almost a blank look, as the narcissism looks to take her to the next mask that she should adopt. Now let's continue with the footage.
I mean, like, yeah, what am I going to do? It's sweatpants or work. You know what I mean? You just have to completely drop out or go be on the show.
Are there any favorite pieces that you've maybe snuck off the set without anyone noticing?
I like to think of Rachel as a really good girlfriend whose closet you can borrow from sometimes. So, yes, there are a couple of really great pieces from Burberry that she has loaned me, which make their way back. And I also sort of love her wardrobe because it's lots of mix and matchable pieces, like a real woman's wardrobe.
Yeah, so. and I actually enjoy Donna's clothes because she's really a dress girl, and yeah, it's very feminine. You know, she's not a lawyer. She never has to wear a suit. She has a little bit of freedom and a little bit of more flirtatious kind of opportunity at the office.
And speaking of Donna, so last season we got to a little bit more of the backstory with you and Harvey. So, there's a lot of people who ship Harvey and Donna. Where do you stand on their relationship? Is it more than just friends?
Well, that's so interesting. You should ask. It was so funny because Gabriel and I last season, when we got the script where we found out that Harvey and Donna had actually done it in the past, we were both like, I was playing that they hadn't. What were you playing? I was playing that they hadn't. Like, we were both like, oh, okay, well, now we play that they had. So I think, if I can speak from Donna's point of view, she thinks she's fine. She thinks she's good. She thinks, there was that scene that they had in the past in the diner when he says, I don't want to find out who I would be without you, but she has a rule that she's never going to sleep with anybody she works with, which I think is a really important rule that she stick to. So
rules, though, don't they?
And Donna kind of might have for a second this season, but so I think she's, convinced herself that she is, not into Harvey. Okay. She's telling herself that.
All right.
It doesn't mean that that's,
it can't happen.
And also, hope if we're lucky enough to have a lot of seasons too. Who knows? We're starting our 4th season, so you think about if we do 7, if we are lucky enough to do 8, that's 8 years of someone's life, and what can change in that amount of time. As a fan, I would love to see Donna and Harvey together.
Glad I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
We have never discussed that.
I know.
That's so funny.
That's why I was like, what do you think? Yes, no, I would love to see them together.
And speaking of relationships,
Sarah Rafferty makes a joke about wearing sweatpants, and you'll notice there's a further comment, but it's largely inaudible, from Harry's wife, with her exaggerating head tossing. The interviewer then asks about whether they've snuck off any clothing from set. Harry's wife, first to reply again, states, I like to think of Rachel as a really good girlfriend who you can borrow from. So yes, there's been a couple of great pieces from Burberry that she's loaned me. In other words, Harry's wife is up to her old tricks of stealing clothes. We know that she's got form for that. With regard to the Rietman shoot, she disappeared with the Aquazzura shoes, and she's been tea-leafing more of the clothing. She will, of course, not regard it as theft. She'll see it as a perk. But it once again demonstrates an absence of accountability, a sense of entitlement, and lack of boundary recognition. She then makes a curious comment about it being like a real woman's wardrobe. Compared to what? An imaginary woman's wardrobe? You'll notice as well that when Sarah Rafferty is speaking, you'll see that Harry's wife's face doesn't really know what to do. It's almost twitching as it's trying to figure out, what expression should I be doing here? Should I look pleased? Should I look happy? Should I look interested? And that's because it's all unnatural. Note that when the interviewer then asks Sarah Rafferty about her character Donna and Harvey, and states, where do you stand on their relationship? Look how Harry's wife responds. She turns around and faces Sarah Rafferty as if she's the interviewer. Rather than stand to one side and allow Sarah Rafferty to give the answer about her character, Harry's wife has to get in the line of sight between Sarah Rafferty and the interviewer, as if to say, I'm part of this. She behaves as if she's the interviewer, with the exaggerated turn. Now, Harry's wife, of course, just thinks that she's being sweet and amusing, but doesn't recognise the way in which she's always, repeatedly, unnaturally trying to make it about her. Again, while Sarah Rafferty is speaking, and therefore the attention is not on Harry's wife, She's being starved of fuel, and the blinking returns as she experiences the anxiety. During the answer that Sarah Rafferty is giving, Harry's wife keeps glancing over at the interviewer as if to say, I'm still here, you know, I'm part of this, rather than keeping still and avoiding detracting from what her colleague is saying. She has to turn her head, glance at the interviewer, play along. And of course, this is quite distracting. Sarah Rafferty is trying to answer, and of course, in her line of sight is Harry's wife, twisting and turning, thrashing around like a fish out of water. Once again, she gives a slight laugh, a hollow laugh, then a natural laugh, and then blink. In a moment it's gone, showing that it's not a natural warmth that appears. Harry's wife, of course, has been itching to speak while Sarah Rafferty gives her views and provides an answer. And then she interrupts Sarah Rafferty, lack of boundary recognition as she's speaking, and the hands start waving around again as she starts talking about the number of seasons that they have been involved in. This clearly demonstrates how much Harry's wife can't stand for the attention to be on somebody else. She believes that she's the star of the show. Remember, she's not going to get Sarah Rafferty by her red hair and drag her onto the floor and say, get out of the way, bitch, I'm talking. Facade management will prevent that. But all the time, this mask of her facade, namely that she's kind and pleasant and a good listener, is being threatened by the fact that the interviewer is talking to Sarah Rafferty and not directly to her. The facade is straining against the other aspect of her narcissism, which is trying to get the attention brought back onto her. Each and every time, she needs it to be about her. And because her narcissism isn't evolved as some narcissists, we see this tension. The facade holds. She doesn't start snarling. She doesn't start hitting anybody. She doesn't elbow them out of the way. But you can see where it's straining to keep her in check as she keeps trying to do things to bring the attention back onto her. We'll continue with more analysis about the slipping mask in part 2. Join me there.